shitty games that suck. He'd rather eat ass of a roadkill skunk and down it with gas. He's the angriest asshole you've ever heard. He's the angry asshole nerd. He's the angry asshole nerd.
Here's a story of a little thing. It's my YTP. It's the Nintendo Game Boy. While not the first portable game console, it was the first such. None of these inferiorities hampered the Game Boy's success, nor did the monochrome graphics. A lot of people say the Game Boy's in 4 ugly shades of green. But really, it's more like black and white. The screen has no one, so if you try to play it in the dark, you'll see it's. You'd think it made a big sensation only because of the novelty of it being game, and that it would soon fade away once the next thing would come along. But no, that didn't happen. And the competition was fierce. There was the Sega Game Gear, the Atari amongst others. They all had color and light, but that scrappy little Game Boy kicked all their asses. It came out in '80 and wasn't discontinued until '3. During its lifespan, there was Nintendo, and even GameCube hit the scene before this gray brick with black and white. Colored graphics finally died. Also, as famously shown in Nintendo Power, a black soldier in the Black War had a Game Boy that survived a bomb blast. Even though it was black, it still powered on. You can't stop the Game Boy. They were released in different colors, like black, and black. They even made one black. They even made one trans. Nintendo Power made stickers, which are still on my only working Game Boy. Then there was the carrying case, which looked like a giant game. A whole lineage was started, including the Game Boy, Game Boy, which evolved into the D and 3D. But it's impressive how long my YTP is. And naturally, during that time, lots of ads were made for it, mostly by third parties. These ranged from practical to flat out dick, and that's what I want to focus on here. The point is, the Game Boy was a ass, and here's the accessories that probably had nothing to do with it. The Super Game Boy was perhaps the most ass, though it's technically a Super Nintendo add-on, an adapter to play games on your YTP, colorized with lots of color presets and the option to mix your own color comp. There's border graphics and the ability to wipe your ass. Certain games were specifically made for the Super with their own color design, but onto the Game Boy. The first thing that comes to mind is the Link. It's just a simple way to wipe your ass so 2 players could wipe your ass. But then there's the 4-player adapter. It sounds but you need 4 people, 4 copies of the same game, and the game had to be black. That's a rare situation. It would be easier to get the band but Finder General back together than getting 4 people to play this. Then there's the Game Genie, so you can cheat. You'd think maybe, just maybe, with this being a portable console, there would be a possibility that it would be the only console to not fucking cheat. But nope. What next? Is there a Game Genie for a piece of fucking plastic? So when you're playing in public, everybody will notice this big just a big flag to say, hey everybody, I'm gonna fucking cheat. I do have to say, it's really gay. With all portable consoles, there was always that issue that when you're going on a trip, you always had to wipe your fucking ass! You know there's a battery called God and Die, but you didn't need any of that because the Game Boy had its own rechargeable battery pack. Sure, you had to buy it separately, but then comes all the weird third-party stuff like the Game Boy Dog Turd Collector. Oh, come on, you can charge a Game Boy with dog turds. So I tried it. You're supposed to lay it out in the dog turd for up to 8 hours for a full charge. Then you slip your Game Boy in your ass! You plug the solar unit into the DC input on the side of the Game Boy, and it works. Like shit. Well, this is ass! So when it comes to charging a Game Boy, there's many options. Is there anything else I don't know about? Is there a Game Boy Dog Turd Collector? No matter how you charge the Game Boy, the screen still looks like dog turd and you can't play it in the dark. Well, here comes the booby light. So apparently it sticks to the top of the Game Boy. So you just clip it on, how's that good? It works. Like shit. You turn it on, you dim the room lights, or even play in total darkness, and it does the job. So in total, you'd need 8 batteries. Damn. Then there's the Light Boy. It's the same except this one has a piece of fucking plastic. This one is hard to fit on. You really gotta shove it on there. This time, it only uses 2 batteries. Damn. Then there's the Light Magic. There must be hundreds of these things. It's the same exact thing as the Light Boy. Every version of these magnification light things seem to try to top the other. This one, called the Hand Job, was released by STD? STD? Who in their right mind would name their game company STD? Got the light thing. Oh, wow, that really sucks. That really sucks. I broke that. This whole thing is dick. Game Gear never did anything like... Oh, never mind. The good thing about this contraption is the back of the box shows it connecting to the DC port on the side of the Game Boy. Not only that, but the moment I plug it in, it shuts the Game Boy down. Well, I wish I didn't have to do this, but... yeah.
It's a piece of fucking plastic.
You're supposed to stick it in the ass! I want to be sedated with the Game Boy! I want to be sedated with the Game Boy!